Welcome everybody to the Texas REIAs. My name is Phil Grove. I'm one of the founders of the Texas REIAs and flipping.com, the #1 place to get started. Flipping. The Texas REIAs is the largest, by a large margin, the largest network of real estate investor associations in the great state of Texas. Over 150,000 members, participants, and attendees going all the way back to 2003. They say if you have the slightest interest in real estate, the very, very, very first thing to do is to go join your local real estate investor association. So why do you care and why does that matter? Well, the reason you should care, and the reason it does matter, is because real estate is local. Laws are local. Contracts are local. Contractors are local. Houses are local. Buyers and sellers and power teams, all of that stuff is local. There's 30,000 YouTube videos that talk about how to invest in real estate. They all talk about how to do it anywhere. Well, how to do it anywhere is how to do it at 30,000 feet. Real estate is not bought and sold at 30,000 feet. Real estate is bought and sold at 0 feet. So if you want to know what laws apply here, where to get money here, which neighborhoods to invest in here, how to do it here, where do you get your power team here, where do you get all that? You get that at your local real estate investor association. And my job is to make you all into educated, contributing members of this community. So we are live in person, and we are also simulcasting, so hello for everybody online. If you're watching on Goto Webinar, you are live. If you are on social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, you may or may not be live, but if you'd like to come to any of the many live trainings, just go to flipping.com/events. And we have things going on literally every single week, usually multiple times a week. So, welcome everybody. I want to get started by answering the question we get here a lot of where to start, where to get started. You're all on your own individual journeys to become real estate investors, take it to the next level, and this journey is unique to you. So the question is, what's the best way to get started? Because there are many options that you can explore when you become a real estate investor. You can be a residential investor, or you can be a commercial investor. You can be an active investor, or you can be a passive investor. So which is the right one? There's these 4 different quadrants. Which is the right one? And I would say, well, they're all good. All of these things are great. I do all 4 quadrants. But which one is right for you really depends on you, and I would say on the problem that you're trying to solve. So what do I mean by that? And hold on just a second. I'm having a little slide issue. For some reason, my slide is not advancing. Yeah, there we go. All right. So if you tell me, for example, I'm here because I want to quit my job, I want to replace my income, I really want to make an extra $100,000 or more than $100,000 over the next 12 months. My goal is to generate income as quickly as possible. If that's why you're here and what you're looking for, then I'm going to tell you, you should be flipping houses. There's many ways to do it. It's very scalable, it's relatively quick. You can even do it with little or no money. In fact, we're going to teach you a dozen different strategies, of which 9 require little or no money. And I'm going to tell you, I tell everybody this, whether you have money or not, you don't have enough anyway, so it really doesn't even matter. Like, I don't care how much money you have, it doesn't matter. You got $500,000, good for you, go buy a house. Okay, now you're done. Yep, that was it. Yep, can't buy another house, all your money went in the first house. No. That doesn't work. You have to be prepared to buy any property at any price at any time, because you have no idea what that deal of a lifetime, the life-changing opportunity you find tomorrow is going to look like. So you have to be prepared to use other people's money, and you have to be knowledgeable in how to do this with no money. But again, going back to our little matrix here, if your goal is to replace your income, generate some income quickly, even with little or no money, then I'm going to tell you, you should be flipping houses. Now, if you say, but that's not really why I'm here, I'm really looking to build wealth. I like my job, I'm not worried about income, I really want to build wealth. I want to be in 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, I want to be wealthier or very wealthy. What do I do to get real estate to make me wealthy, right? If that's why you're here, I'm going to tell you, great. In my opinion, you should be buying rental properties. Buy rental properties. I think everybody should own rental properties. I own a lot of rental properties. I've been doing this for 21 years. Now I own $30 million worth of rental properties. And most of my wealth today came from decisions I made 20 years ago, right? 20 years ago, I decided to buy a bunch of houses. And, you know, buying houses, let's talk about that, little detour for a minute. How many of you think houses are kind of expensive right now? Who thinks houses are kind of expensive right now? Who thinks houses are cheap right now? Who thinks houses are cheap right now? Okay, this is opinion. You can't be right or wrong, so don't worry, there's no right or wrong. My opinion is houses are dirt freaking cheap right now. Like, I am astounded at, they're practically giving them away. It's like, you look at the prices, it's ridiculous just how freaking cheap these houses are. It's crazy. It is really crazy. But, you know, if you don't believe me, don't listen to me. I want you to ask somebody that you trust whether houses are expensive or cheap. In fact, I'm going to say, ask the person you trust more than anybody. Get their opinion. See what their opinion is. Like, are houses cheap or expensive? So I want you to ask the person you trust more than anybody else. Here's who I want you to ask. I want you to ask future you. Okay, I want you to ask yourself 20 years from now, what do you think of house prices back in 2024? And do you know what future you is going to tell you? Oh my God, do you realize you could have bought houses in Houston, Texas for less than $3 million a house? I can't believe it. You should have bought them all. Yeah. 21 years ago, I bought a bunch of houses in downtown Austin. I paid ridiculous prices. Everybody knew prices were ridiculous. Some of these houses I paid $120,000 for. Some I paid like $140,000. I think I paid $175,000. I know, crazy, right? For a downtown house in Austin, I mean, I can't believe. I know, it's crazy. Everybody thought it was crazy. It was crazy. Because everybody said houses are ridiculously expensive. And I bought these ridiculously expensive houses anyway, because I was stupid, I guess. I don't know. You know, now they're worth $750,000, $850,000. One of them about to sell for $1.2 million. Do you know what I've noticed for 21 years as a real estate investor? Every year, you know what everybody says? Houses are so expensive. I can't believe they're so expensive. You know what they're going to say in 5 years? Houses are so expensive. And you know what they're going to say in 20 years? I should have bought them 20 years ago. When's the best time to plant a tree, guys? No, 20 years ago. When's the second best time to plant a tree? That would be today. So the point is, you are planting trees today that you will harvest in 20 years. Think about that. And they are dirt freaking cheap. So if you walk out of here, you only do one thing. You just buy one dumb rental property at some dumb, ridiculous price. You just stick it on a shelf and go back in 20 years. Yeah, you're going to thank me for this meeting. And by the way, when I buy a rental property, you know what I do? I take the keys, I hand it to a property manager, and I say, call me in 20 years. I don't touch them. I have no idea who lives in them. I haven't been to a rental property in a decade. I have no idea who lives in them. I don't know the rent. I don't know anything about them. I just know I own them. I get a little annual report. That's my full extension. But going back to our matrix, if your goal is to build wealth, you should own rental properties, right? Because it's really the best way to establish your wealth long term. But if you say, but that's still not why I'm here. I'm not here looking for that. What I'm looking for is I want to make money with my money. I want something better than the stock market. I want better than CDs. I want to make money passively with money I already have. Well, if that's why you're here, then I'm going to tell you, great, you should be investing in syndications. You know, wealthy people, let me give you a tip. Do not invest in the stock market. The stock market is public equity. Wealthy people invest in private equity. You got to go behind the curtains. It's not listed on some stock exchange somewhere. You got to know the people that do it, right? Private equity. The most common private equity, commercial real estate syndications. On average, twice the return of the stock market with half the risk. So like nobody goes back to the stock market after they know about private equity. Nobody. It's a one-way ticket. In fact, ask a financial planner, what do you think about investing in commercial syndications? You know what they're going to say? Oh, you don't want to do that. That's dumb, bad idea. Just stay away. Don't even look. Don't even go there. That's just not a good place to go. They hate it. And the reason they hate it, they despise it, is because every time their clients find out about it, they lose 100% of their clients. It's a one-way ticket. I haven't invested in the stock market for 20 years because, if you know about things that you have more control over, right, that have higher returns or less risk, you just never go back to the stock market. And by the way, I'm not going to offer you any investments tonight. So this is not like I'm setting you up for some investment pitch. You're not going to get pitched anything, right? So there's no investment. But I'm just telling you general terms, right? Commercial real estate syndications, private equity, twice return, stock market, half the risk. So if you want to make money with your money, there's what I would recommend. Now, if you say, but that's still not why I'm here, I'm looking to do the big deals. I want to make $1 million a year, $5 million a year. I'm looking to do the big deals. I want to make the big money. Then I'm going to tell you, great, you should be sponsoring syndications. You should be sponsoring syndications. That's where you make the big money. You do one syndication, you make $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million per deal. Those are the big deals. Now, there's a catch, a little bit of a catch, right? A typical commercial syndication is a 5-year deal. So it is big money, it's not fast money. Okay, so typical, there are 5-year deals. But if you're starting one every year, and then you're starting 2 every year, and then by year 5, you got a whole pipeline of these things, and now you're making millions of dollars a year. So those are the 4 different quadrants. So no right, no wrong. I do them all, and I love them all. Now, most people start in quadrant 1. They flip houses because they're looking for immediate income. Now, I would argue that keep some of them. I have kind of the Bluebell ice cream philosophy, right? Their slogan is, we eat all we can, we sell the rest. I keep all I can and I flip the rest, right? I can't keep them all. I wish I could, but I got to make some money too. So keep some, keep a lot, keep as many as you can. Now, once you make more money than you need to pay your bills and take care of your needs, you're going to want to make money with your money. And I'm going to tell you the best way to do that is private equity, commercial real estate syndications. And when you start investing in syndications, I'm going to tell you, here's the thing. You get to meet the sponsor, see the deal, get a copy of the business plan, put your money in. Usually these things are structured to double your money. So you put $50,000 in, you get 100 back. You put 100 in, you get 200 back. You can use your money, your IRA's money. And when you do that, it's pretty cool, right? Put 100 in and get 200 back. That's cool. But then you realize the guy you put the 100 in with, he's making $1 million plus. And you know exactly how he did it because you watched him do it, right? You watch him do it a couple of times, you're like, I want to be that guy. So you become that guy and sponsor the syndications yourself. So we do all of these things. We love them all. Residential, commercial, active, passive. Flipping.com, Texas REIAs has training, money, resources, power teams, and everything for all of these different things. Now, I'll do a little poll of the audience. No right or wrong. I'm just curious. How many of you are here, you say, because you're looking to generate an extra 100,000 in the next 12 months? Who's looking to generate some income? Quadrant 1, who wants mostly income in the next 12 months? Income? Okay, how many of you are here because you'd like to build your wealth, long-term wealth? Who's more wealth? Okay, great. How many of you are here because you want to make some money with your money? Who wants to make some money with their money? Okay, and then how many of you are here ready to do syndications? Who's ready to do some syndications? Okay, so we got a combination of 1 and 2 and some 3s and maybe not any 4s yet. So that's no problem. Now, we're going to deep dive into some of this stuff. We're going to start with quadrant 1 and 2, and then we'll go to 3 and 4. If you're specifically looking for commercial, you might want to take a little snapshot of this QR code, and we'll send you some special training and resources just on commercial, whether it's passive or whether it's active. And all these QR codes, by the way, it doesn't ask for your name, email. It just actually you send a text message. When you click on that, it sends a text message from your phone to the system, and then the system sends you back some resources for whatever that is. So it's a great way to build your resources. And the REIA, all of this is paid for by sponsors, right? You need sponsors. If you want to be a real estate investor, you need money, you need leads, you need marketing tools, you need training, you need all the resources necessary. And that's what you get at your REIA. We have vast resources. We have literally hundreds of vendors that provide every imaginable resource under the sun. Okay, so most of you were kind of interested in quadrant 1 and 2. So let's start with those. And I'm going to teach you about a dozen different ways to do that. And they're all fantastic. there's a lot of ways to flip houses, most of which even take little or no money and no credit, so that's good news. When it comes to buying rental properties, we have some very unique tools that don't exist anywhere else in the world. This is a local organization. So we've literally pulled more than 20 million data points off of the internet. We've analyzed Texas literally down to the street level using big data and analysis of 20 years worth of data. We can show you street by street by street exactly which neighborhoods you would buy and hold in and which neighborhoods you should never buy and hold in, because you should not buy and hold anywhere. And we have a lot of training and details that specifies that. And I'm going to tell you, understanding that long term, and buy and hold is long term, right? The properties in the better locations, right? And it's not the same locations realtors talk about, but the properties in the better, higher appreciation, higher ROI locations literally make you 3 times as much money over a period of a decade, right, than the properties in the worst locations. So understanding exactly where to buy and hold and exactly where to fix and flip is really, really critical. So, hi everybody, I'm Phil Grove. You saw a little bit of that video before. I'm a real estate investor, one of the co-founders of the Texas REIAs. Been a real estate investor since 2003, negotiated over 1,200 deals. I own about $30 million in rental properties, like I said. 21 years ago, I did something really stupid. I bought a whole bunch of overpriced houses, and I just hand the keys to a property manager, and lo and behold, they just, well, you know what happened? They doubled in value, and then they doubled again, and some of them doubled again, and a few of them doubled even again, right? So tenants paid off the mortgages. That's pretty cool. Last year, I got 3 different notices from banks. Your mortgage paid off. Your mortgage paid off, right? It's like, that's cool. They actually make a little cash flow after the mortgage gets paid off. Made a lot of money doing this. Taught over 100,000 people to do this. I like teaching, and teaching is something that is kind of a natural evolution when you do real estate investing. Real estate investing, I'll tell you, ask your friends, they'll tell you, real estate investing is a really dumb idea, guys. So just so you all know, this is a really stupid thing to do with your life. Real estate investing is a really, really dumb idea. And everybody will tell you it's a really, really dumb idea right up until the moment what happens? You make money. And as soon as you do a deal and make some money, instantly this goes from being a dumb idea to being a brilliant idea. And then all the people who told you it was a dumb idea is going to say, show me how to do that. So there's like this natural opportunity to do what we call bringing people along for the ride. These are some of the deals that made me money. I'm not going to go through them all. But I do approximately a real estate transaction a week in some shape, form, variety, or another. When you talk about all the ones I partner on and help people with, I mean, it's actually a lot more than that. But I do approximately, let's just say approximately a real estate deal a week. And what that does is it creates what we call money in big chunks. Now that sounds cool, right? Money in big chunks, but I'm not here to sound cool. I'm here to teach you. So how does this business work? The way this business works is as follows. We do things to get people with problems to call you. Okay, what kind of problems? They have a house they don't want, they have a mortgage they can't afford. Problems to real estate investors are what? Opportunities. Big problems are what? Big opportunities. Yeah, if you're thinking like, I don't want any problems, you're thinking, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. We're real estate entrepreneurs. All entrepreneurs, all the ones I know of on this planet, they're in the business of helping people solve their problems. So we help people solve real estate problems. So like what kind of problems? Well, let me give you some examples. Found somebody facing foreclosure, big problem, and gave them an alternative, something called a short sale. A short sale allows you to buy a house for less money than what is even owed. It allows the seller to sell their house without having to bring money to the table, without completely destroying their life and their credit. And I made $16,000 helping somebody solve a problem. REO. REO stands for real estate owned, bank-owned properties. Banks do not want to own real estate. Big problem. So I took it off the bank's hands, solving the bank's problem. Great source of deals. And I flipped it, made let's see, $36,000. Guy had a legal problem. By court order, the guy had to sell a house by Friday. Okay, a realtor cannot sell your house by Friday. I can help somebody sell their house by Friday. Right? Wholesaled it, made $5,000. Got a property subject to my specialty, no money, no credit. Flipped it, made $68,000, $5,600 on an assignment. Okay, $6,000 on a mortgage assignment, $10,000 on a wholesale, $2,800 on a small referral, $12,400 on another referral. The way this business works is we do things to get people with problems to call us. And then here's the really beautiful part. For every type of problem that exists, for every address that exists, for every house that exists, we have a strategy that helps them. It's about helping people, solves their needs, solves their problem, gets us paid. Sometimes we get singles, sometimes we get doubles, sometimes we get home runs. Sometimes I work on a lead, a deal, an opportunity, a problem for 6 months, and after 6 months I make $5,000. And I'm like, oh man, 6 months for $5,000, I could have made more money working at Walmart. Thank goodness I'm not working on just one lead at a time. Sometimes my phone rings and that phone call makes me $55,000 in 48 hours. I'm like, oh man, I wish every time my phone rang I made $55,000 in 48 hours, but that's not how it works either. That's maybe 1 in 100 phone calls. So the question you should ask yourself is, how often do you get 100 phone calls? How often do you look at 100 deals? Because that's up to you. Do you look at 100 deals a week? Do you look at 100 deals a month? Do you look at 100 deals a year? That's up to you. And it's determined by how much marketing that you do. So there's 2 essential skills that I'm going to teach you to be a real estate investor. The first and foremost skill is finding the deal. I'm going to show you 65 different ways to find the deal. Marketing. You need to spend most of your time on marketing. The next skill we're going to learn is strategy. Strategy is doing the deal, solving the problem. We buy houses, we help people sell houses and get rid of houses and mortgages they don't want, can't afford. We do it in a variety of different ways. It solves a variety of different problems. So these are the 2 essential skills: marketing and strategy, finding deals, doing deals, finding problems, solving problems. We use 65 methods to buy, find, and buy off market, because we only buy off market because we only buy wholesale real estate. We use a dozen different strategies to help people. It's about helping people solve their need, problem, and get ourselves paid. Okay, over half of these marketing methods, by the way, are completely free. In fact, 9 of the 12 investing strategies are actually no money and no credit strategies. And when you learn how to buy real estate with no money and with no credit, then how many houses can you buy? All of them. How many would you like to buy? All of them. So I'm going to give you guys a little tip. If I ask a question and you just kind of shout out all of them, you're probably going to get it right. I'm just, just set you up. All right, so marketing and strategy, finding deals, doing deals, finding problems, solving problems. Let us get started with the marketing, how to find the deals. Oh, actually, first let me tell you a story. This was my first deal. This is the very first house I flipped on December 15, 2003. But I'll tell you the story. On December 14th, 2003, honestly, I was scared to death. Actually had 2 people that ran the Real Estate Investor Association back then coaching me. I called them both on the phone on December 14, 2003. I'm scared. Are you sure this is going to work? I don't want to lose any money. Yeah, it took 2 seasoned, experienced real estate investors pulling me, kicking and screaming over the starting blocks to get me to do that very first deal. So if you're scared, I get it, I can relate, and I can help. We have a seat right up front if you'd like to sit right up front. Thank you. So, but I had one other thing that was also motivating me to take action. I was in a job I no longer loved, and I was in a career that I no longer loved. And I'm going to tell you guys, if you're spending your time doing something you don't love doing, you need to do something different with your life plan. That's exactly where I was. I needed a different life. And I got to tell you, you get one life, and it just races by. My wife and I recently had a baby boy, and this last weekend I noticed there was this 15-year-old running around in my house, and he's taller than I am, and I'm like, what? We're talking cars. Like, I know I fed him a few times, but like now he's bigger than me, and like how did that happen? And what happened in the last 15 years? It was just a blur, right? And it's just a blur. And if you're not on a trajectory to getting the life you want, if you're not reaching your God-given potential, like maybe it's time to change your trajectory. We teach people how to invest in real estate. We have a big network of people who are working together investing in real estate. And we even sponsor a little show on the internet. Like we interview people that are typically millionaires or multimillionaires from this network. right, like every week. And we always ask them the same question, always get the same answer. What is your biggest regret? You will never find a multimillionaire real estate investor that doesn't answer that question exactly the same way. 100% of the time, all say exactly the same thing. I wish, what do you think? I started sooner, 100%. So like now would be good. So yeah, I need a different life. So your first deal, just to take a moment and talk about that, in a lot of ways, your first deal is your most important deal. It's kind of like your first kiss, right? Everybody remembers their first kiss, life-changing experience. Everybody remembers their first deal, life-changing experience. I'll tell you about mine. It took me 6 months to find my first deal. It was actually kind of a slow starter. Got it under contract with a contract I got right here at the REIA, bought it using OPM, other people's money. Private money lender here at the REIA loaned me the money. Got a contractor right here at the REIA. Got a lot of contractors here. Got a contractor to fix it. Got a realtor here at the REIA. Got a lot of realtors. Got a realtor to sell it. Got an attorney and title company. Got a lot of attorneys and title companies, all right, to close it for me. I went to the very first closing and picked up the very first check for $15,384.26. And do you know when they handed me that check, it was like you unscrewed the cap, popped out the old brain, popped in the new brain. Because right up until the moment they handed me that check, I was a real estate investor based on theory. And I wasn't even sure I believed the theory. I don't know if this is going to work, not sure about that, don't know about this other thing. But the second they handed me that check, like a switch flipping, I became a real estate investor based on experience. I didn't know anything different, except I knew it actually worked. And what I realized is if I did this and this and this again, I get another check. Worked the first time. And if I did this, this, and this again, I get another check. If this, this, and this again, I get another check. But the really big deal that I realized at that moment is that at that moment I realized that I would never, ever, 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 for the rest of my life, ever, ever have to work for somebody else. Ever, 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 never, ever again. And I haven't worked for anybody else, even for 1 second, since they handed me that check, right? If you look at my resume, it's in some form of DOS. Even the techiest of tech person in this room could not recreate if you wanted to, okay? It's no possible way. I haven't looked at it in over 20 years, right? So yeah, I've not worked for anybody else even for 1 second since they found me this very first deal, since I did my very first deal. So if you're just getting started, here's my first piece of advice. You need to focus yourself like a laser beam on that very first deal, because that very first deal will change your life. Deals 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 combined, not as hard as deal number 1. So it's all about deal number 1. Now, I told you I was going to tell you what I did right, but I'm also going to tell you what I did wrong, because I made all the typical rookie mistakes when I got started. So we're going to talk about big rookie mistake number 1. I spent all that time finding the deal. I found the deal. As soon as I found the deal, I kind of put my marketing on hold. I picked up a hammer, started managing some contractors, worked on that deal, finished the deal, got the check, only to wake up the next day and realize that I had, well, absolutely nothing to do. Well, except start the whole business all over again. And that gets me to my very first takeaway, and this is it, and this is really the big one. The business of being a real estate investor is the business of finding deals. That's it. Finding deals. Why? Because you make the money on the buy. What does that mean? As soon as you find a property, get it under contract, you know what? Whatever money was going to be made or not made, it's done. Right at that moment, it's done. Yep, you get the money at the end on the sell, but you make the money on the buy. Right? Once you understand that, you should realize you always have to spend 85% of your time and money on marketing looking for the next deal. And you always have to approach the business. The next deal is always more important than the deal you have now. The rookies all screw this up. The rookies spend all this time, they finally find a deal, they do a deal, they make some money, great, but while they're working on the deal, they're not looking for the next deal. So they get the check, and then they reset the marketing, they start the whole thing all over again, they finally find a deal, they do a deal, they make some money, great, but while they're working on the deal, they're not looking for the next deal. So they reset the marketing, get started all over again, and their income goes up and down with big gaps in between. You need your income to go up, 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 up. And the way you do that is you have to keep the pipeline continuously filled with deals. And the way you do that is you always need to approach this, that the next deal is always more important than the deal you have now. And hint, the deals you're looking for are not in the MLS. The MLS is the multiple listing service. It's the retail market for real estate. It's where realtors sell real estate. It's where all the people in the world compete with each other to see who will pay the most. And I hate to say it, but when you're competing against all the people in the world, some of those people are stupid. And you don't want to compete against stupid. Well, you don't want to win competing against stupid. Now, don't get me wrong, folks. I love the MLS. I adore the MLS. Why do I love and adore the MLS? Because after I buy off-market wholesale real estate, where do I then want to go to resell it? Yeah, on the MLS. It has been proven that any property for sale in the MLS will sell for the most it could possibly be sold for, because the whole world sees it and is competing for it. But that's never where you're going to find heavily discounted wholesale real estate. The very best deal in the entire MLS would rarely be a deal an investor would even take a second look at. So finding deals. Oh, here's the rookie mistake, right? Deal reset, deal reset, deal reset. Income goes up, down, up, down. No, 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 no. You never stop marketing. You always spend 85% of your time and money on marketing, looking for the next deal. The next deal is always more important than the deal you have now. So, finding deals. Once I realized this whole shoot and match is really about finding deals, well, then I started to systematize the process of finding deals. And over time, I developed 65 different methods for finding deals. Well, actually, it's not really totally accurate to say I developed 65 methods. It would be more accurate to say I found 65 things that work, and I started to do those things. In fact, I need to teach you all a really important lesson, maybe the most important lesson that I'm going to teach you today. But for me to teach you this next lesson, first I need to unteach you all something. Okay, so I'm going to unteach you all something. When you guys are in elementary school, if you looked over the paper next to you and you copied down the answers, that was called what? Cheating. And you're all told that cheating is what? Bad, wrong. Okay, okay. We're not a bunch of little kids. We're no longer in elementary school. I need you all to unlearn that. Okay, because going forward, guess what? Cheating is actually the shortcut. Okay, what am I saying up here? What I'm trying to say is this. There's nothing that you are trying to do. There's absolutely nothing that you are trying to figure out that I and other people haven't already done and figured out. Everything, and I mean everything, and I mean absolutely everything about this business is completely understood. We know what's in the swale. We know the zoning. We know the guys who write the zoning. We know the appreciation rate down to the street address in all the streets across all the cities across the great state of Texas. We know the exact letters to send to the exact marketing list. We know the exact words to say, the exact offers to make. We know exactly what objections we're going to get. We know exactly how to overcome those objections. We even know on average how many contracts we're going to get signed for every 20,000 postcards we send out. Everything, and I mean everything, and I mean absolutely everything about this business is completely understood. So once I realized everything I was trying to do and everything I was trying to figure out, other people had done and figured out, I stopped trying to figure everything out, and I just started to, here's this word, copy, right? Copy the 65 tested, proven ways to actually find deals. Now, some of these methods or campaigns take time. Some of these methods and campaigns take money. When you get started, you're probably going to have more time and less money. Once you get going, you're going to have more money and less time. I will be honest with you, I don't spend any time at all anymore on marketing. I outsource 100%. But when you're getting started, you're probably going to insource more. So then what are all these marketing methods? Well, let me teach you a whole bunch. The first set of strategies has to do with direct mail and marketing lists. So you can buy marketing lists. Now, you don't have to send mail to marketing lists. In fact, I don't actually send mail to marketing lists, because you can do many things with a marketing list. You can call them. You can text them. You can have a CRM system drop a voicemail in their voicemail box even without calling them. You can knock on their door. Or you can do what I do, and you can have an AI chat bot chat with them while you're sleeping and literally talk to 10,000 people at the same time, and then schedule appointments with you to talk to the ones that actually are looking for an offer on their home. Or you can even do a combination, right, of those things, which we call a multi-touch or combination plan. So what are some of the popular marketing lists? Well, you can get a tax late list. This is a list of people in Texas that didn't pay their property taxes. A pre-foreclosure list. This is a list of people that didn't pay their mortgage, that are late paying their mortgage. A substitute trustee list. This is a list of people where the lender is gearing up to foreclose on them because they're late paying their mortgage. You can get a divorce list. Okay, two people were combining their income to pay a mortgage, and now one of them's gone. Well, the one that's left is probably having trouble paying the mortgage by themselves. So they probably need to sell the house. They're probably a motivated and distressed seller. You can get a list of people who've inherited a house from somebody that passed away, people who basically didn't have a will when somebody passed away. You can get a list generated by an AI. Artificial intelligence can go through big data, right? Literally look at bazillions of data points all over the internet, and using big data, they know everything about you. You know that, right? Big data, they know your age, they know your weight, they know how much money you make, they know your credit score, they know everything about you. And they can use socioeconomic demographic profiling to determine which people need to sell their house and which people don't. You can get a list of people who've just been dismissed from bankruptcy. Certainly a lot of financial distress there. You can get a non-owner occupied list. There's a list of people that own a house that they don't live in the house they own. Well, technically those are landlords, and a lot of them are accidental landlords. They couldn't sell a house, so they just rented it out. Or they let a spouse or a friend or neighbor or family member stay in a house, or they inherit a house with a tenant. They didn't expect or plan to be a landlord. They just kind of ended up with one being one, and then eventually they become very often motivated sellers. You get a list of people who rent to people on public assistance. You can get a code enforcement list. You know the city is already driving around issuing citations for abandoned houses, hoarder houses, deferred maintenance houses. Do you know you can get the city to give you a list of every problem property in the city? That's an opportunity. You can even get an expired listing list. There's a list of people that hired a realtor, tried to sell it for a long time, and it didn't sell. So what do we know about these people? We know 100% of these people would like to sell their house, probably now more than ever. But they probably need solutions that realtors don't offer. Hello? That's exactly what investors do offer. If you send letters, postcards, door knocks, voicemails, chatbots, whatever to these lists of people, some of them will call you back. Those are called leads. If you make them an offer that solves their problem, we have an offer and a strategy for every problem there is. There is no exception. Some of them will say yes, and those are called deals. With a website, you can get leads on the internet, banner signs, little plastic signs. See them on the side of the road. We buy houses. Why do you see those signs? Because they actually work. Online ads work. Email, autoresponders, magnetic signs, little sign on the side of your car. You buy the sign once, you get leads for the rest of your life. Door hangers. You don't want to send postage for 10 cents a door. You can have somebody put your door hanger, door flyer on every door in a neighborhood. Here's one that's pretty much free. Driving for dollars. Sometimes I'm just driving around and I see a tarp on a roof. Well, you know, they might as well be waving a big red flag. Desperate motivated seller, please buy my house. I mean, think about this. Somebody's most valuable asset, a house, has a serious problem, a leak, and their solution was to do what? To go buy a $5 tarp at Home Depot. How come they didn't replace the roof? No money. Same guy that's not fixing the roof, not paying his mortgage, not paying his insurance, sooner or later, an investor is going to pick up that deal. What are the other ways to find off-market deals? Oh, wait. We interrupt this program for a special announcement. So, yeah, the Texas REIAs provides resources. You saw a lot of power teams. For those of you here a little early, we have every imaginable power team, private money, hard money, deals, marketing services, list providers, you name it, and so forth. We're going to do market update. We're going to give you a market update a little bit later. And we also provide training because we want you to all be educated and contributing members of this community. So the Texas REIAs and Flipping.com sponsors the Texas Real Estate Investing Workshop. This is Texans teaching Texans how to invest in Texas using strategies that work here. There's a lot of these out-of-state workshops. They come into Texas. They do their little song and pony dance. They sell their workshops usually for $1,000. I'm going to tell you, don't do it, because the best training is from local experts that know how it works here. So we provide award-winning best training in Texas, and we do it for free. So just because it's free doesn't mean it's the best. This is the best and it's free. And if you don't believe me, we will show you thousands and thousands and thousands of testimonials from the most successful investors in Texas. So practical, actionable, detailed, step-by-step training where we go through all 12 strategies, because you need to know all the strategies for how to do this in Texas. All 65 marketing methods to find off-market deals, and even what are called the closes. Closes are scripts, kind of magic words that you say to get somebody to accept your offer, to sign a contract. So you've all heard of like Jack and the magic beanstalk. Everybody's heard of that. Jack had magic beans. Okay, we have magic closes. So I'll give you an example. Recently, I said some magic words to this woman here in Texas. And simply uttering these magic words, she gave me her house. A beautiful house, by the way. No repairs needed, perfect condition. She just gave it, handed the keys, handed the deed, says, thank you for taking this beautiful, wonderful house. Has had nothing wrong with it, didn't have to give her any money at all. And she said, thank you for taking this house. I really appreciate it. And he even had a lot of equity. A beautiful house, didn't give her a penny for that house. And she just said, because of these magic words, she said, thank you for taking the house, gave me the house. So who's feeling a little skeptical right now? Raise your hand if you're feeling a little skeptical right now. Okay, who's not feeling skeptical? Okay, you only have two choices. You're either skeptical or not skeptical. So who's feeling a little skeptical right now? Okay, who's not feeling skeptical right now? Seriously, you believe that? You believe me? No, you believe I have magic words, and just saying magic words, somebody just gives me their house? Who doesn't believe I have magic words? Raise your hand. Who's skeptical right now? Raise your hand. Come on. I'm baiting you guys. Do you believe me that I just have magic words? I just say these magic words, somebody just gives me their house. You're skeptical, right? Yes. Do you believe me? No, you don't believe me. You believe me? No. Okay. I don't expect you to believe me. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. Magic words, it sounds ridiculous. So if you're skeptical, please remain skeptical. I want you to be skeptical. I'm baiting you on purpose, right? And the reason I want you to be skeptical is in a couple of minutes, I'm actually going to demonstrate it. And when you see what I do, the more skeptical you are right now, the more amazed you're going to be when you actually see how this works. But those are the closes, and they'll make more sense when I actually give you an example and actually demonstrate that. Learn how to partner with local experts. Great way to get started, partner with experts. And the new people always get confused about this. It's like, why would a multimillionaire real estate investor want to partner with a rookie? Why would they do that? Well, I'm going to give you all a fact of life. This is a fact of life. If you ever want to partner with somebody operating a higher business stature than you, how does that work? I'll tell you how that works. You're going to have to help them before they're going to help you. I'm sorry, that's life. You have to give before you get. So what could you possibly do to get a multimillionaire real estate investor to want to partner with you? Bring them a money-making deal, because that's what they're looking for. Learn how to access funding. You know, we have over 1,000 private money lenders in this network. Private money is faster, cheaper, better, more reliable, more dependable than hard money or any other kind of money. You got private money, you have a competitive advantage, nobody can compete with you. Experiential learning at its very best. So we have some workshops coming up. We do this live and in person. Highly recommend you come live and in person. You can also attend online, because we simulcast on Zoom, or you can even go back and forth. So it's 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We also have a second workshop that's focused on commercial. Some of you are interested in commercial, so usually they come to the residential and then they come to the second one, which is commercial. So if you're interested in commercial, you could click the QR code. I'll show you that later as well. So it's a 3-city tour. It's the same workshop, but we're doing it 3 times, once in Austin, once in Dallas, once in Houston, on the dates you see there on the screen. And like I said, you can come live and in person, or you can attend online. That's up to you. I recommend you come live. And I'll tell you some more about it later. We'll hand out a little form. If you want to sign up, you can sign up for free. For you guys online, we'll post a little link online. You can sign up online. If you sign up tonight, it's free. So we got a little special going, and it's a pretty good price, so you can't beat that. So other marketing strategies, and I'll give you some more details later, so of the workshop. Other marketing strategies, letters of intent. What is a letter of intent? A letter of intent is literally an offer. So the question is, who should you send an offer to? And the answer is everybody. Okay, so I'm going to give you all your first homework assignment. Tomorrow I want each of you to send 300 people an offer on their house. Yeah, I'm not kidding. You see, here's how investors think. Ready, fire, aim. You make the offer, and then you negotiate. You make the offer, and then you look for the money. You make the offer, and then you do your due diligence. You make the offer, and then, and only then, do you think about it. You should make everybody an offer. Why not? Do you know that every time you make somebody an offer here in Texas, you know you get 4 different options? You might want to write them down. Option number 1, you can buy a house. Because you know what? They might say yes. If you take 300 shots on goal, what do you think is going to happen? Something's going in, even if you suck. And with practice, what happens? More of them get better. You get better and you don't suck as much, and more of them go in. So yeah, option number 1, you can buy a house. Option number 2, you can terminate the offer after you make it. Do you know the Texas state promulgated contract gives the buyer the unilateral right to just rip it up, walk away, no harm, no risk, no penalty, no cost, 0 risk, 0 cost, right? Option number 3, you can renegotiate the offer after you make it. You know it's much, much easier to renegotiate than it is to negotiate, especially when everybody calls you back. What are they saying? I might want to sell, i.e. I want to negotiate. Option number 4, you can sell the contract itself to somebody else that has money. Notice only one of those 4 options even required you to come up with any money to buy a house. Just make offers and give yourself options. The guys who get there fast and the guys who get there slow understand what I just said to you. Make as many offers as possible, as quickly as possible. Doesn't really matter if they're right or wrong, good or bad, because you can always change your mind after the fact. There's no risk, just do it, right? Make 300 people an offer, why not? If you could buy 300 lottery tickets for free, would you buy 300 lottery tickets for free? And if they don't pay off, what do? Oh well, buy 300 more free lottery tickets, right? I mean, why not? No risk, huge reward. So why are there so many different marketing methods? FSBO, for sale by owner. It's cold calling. People try to sell their own house. Why would they try to sell their own house? Maybe they're lazy. Maybe they're crazy. Maybe they need solutions realtors don't offer. Why so many different marketing methods? Well, would you rather fish with a hook or would you rather fish with a net? The answer is you need to learn to fish with a net. And the reason is because this business is a numbers game, and now I'm going to teach you some numbers. I'm going to teach you something that it took me 2 years of hard work to figure out. So I'm going to shave 2 years of learning curve off right now. By 2005, I'd been a real estate investor for 2 years. And I realized in my first 2 years, I went back and I calculated, I generated about 400 leads. A lead is just a name and number of somebody that might want to sell real estate. So I literally looked at a house every couple days for the first couple of years, and then I added it all up and said, okay, what did I get out of that? And here's the math. What I discovered is when I did paid marketing, like direct mail, for every $100 I spent in paid marketing, I got 1 quality motivated seller lead. When I did free marketing, things like driving for dollars, which is free, for every 3 hours I spent on free marketing, I got 1 qualified motivated seller lead. Then I discovered that as a rookie, on average for every 20 leads I got, I made at least $20,000 net profit on 1 deal. So let me do the math for you. That means as a rookie, every time I just drove around for 60 hours, I made at least $20,000 on a deal. That means as a rookie, every time I sent out $2,000 in direct mail, I made at least $20,000 net profit on a deal. Spend $2,000, make 20. Spend $2,000, make 20. Spend $4,000, make 40. Spend $8,000, make 80. Spend $16,000, make 160. Spend $32,000. You don't have to spend it all at once, by the way. Make $320,000 net profit. Are you starting to like the numbers? It took me 2 years to figure that out. But after figuring that out, and by the way, the numbers are much better today. This was 20 years ago. Why are the numbers much better today? I got better. That's true. I did get better. But it wasn't mostly me. It's It's mostly the market. Remember, the ridiculously expensive houses 20 years ago cost like $120,000 a piece. Those same ridiculously expensive houses today cost like $500 a piece. Right? The numbers have all gone up. Right? The same amount of work gets you 4 times more money just because everything's 4 times more expensive than it was 20 years ago. And you know what's going to happen in 20 years? It's going to be 4 times as much as well, because every 20 years it's the same. So, you know, once I realized this, the way my brain sees the business changed completely. I now see this entire business, my business, like the whole thing is just a little black box. And I call that little black box a marketing machine. And the way that little black box works, for every $100 I stick in one end, eventually $1,000 pops out the other end. So if you had a little black box, every time you shoved $100 in one end, $1,000 popped out the other end, how many dollars would you stick in the box? All of them. Remember, all of them? All of them. And I started spending money on marketing like a drunken freaking sailor because I just knew. You know, I knew. And I started spending thousands of dollars a month on marketing. And then I started spending tens of thousands of dollars a month on marketing. And then I hired 2 full-time 6-figure guys that work for me to this day that spend 100% of their time spending my money on marketing. One just runs the ads, the other one just runs the numbers, calculates the analytics, right? What works, what doesn't work, double down on what works. And now, sometimes I spend as much as $100,000 a month on marketing. Because once you know it's a numbers game, once you know the numbers, you dial it in and then you dial it up. That's how this business works. You dial it in and then you dial it up. Sometime later, actually, wrote a book on investing. I don't offer this book anymore. I used to. You know what I discovered? It's not that helpful. Books are not that helpful. If reading books turn people into millionaires, you know the libraries by now should be filled with millionaires, but they're not. And what I discovered, especially about real estate, the reason books are not that helpful, real estate's not that complicated. It's really not. I went to engineering school. Now that was complicated. I had to take calculus, calculus 2, calculus 3. By the time I took calculus 3, I had to remember calculus 1 and 2. It was really, really complicated. But you know, I've never had to solve a differential equation to flip a house. It's not that complicated. But unlike engineering, right, and calculus, it's a mile deep. The thing about real estate, it's a mile wide. It's not complicated. There's just a million little details. And what I realized about real estate, it's not complicated. It's like a million little details. Real estate's not learning a skill. Real estate is learning a language. But you can't learn a language from reading a book. Go read 100 books on how to speak Spanish. You'll learn how to count to 10. That's about how far I got. How do you learn a language? Yeah, immerse yourself. You want to learn Spanish? Go to Spain. You want to eat or go to the bathroom? You're going to learn some Spanish. Right? And that's just the same thing with real estate. You got to hear things 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 times. It's not complicated. It's just there's a million little things. And it was not until my wife and I joined the local Real Estate Investor Association, actually started hanging out with real estate investors and just hearing this stuff 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 times that we started picking it up. Enough of the detail to be able to do it. It's not complicated. It's just you hang out with people that do it, you're going to pick it up. That's just how it works. Right? And that's why REIAs are so important. So I'm about to get into the final part of the presentation, and then later we'll do a marketing update. But I do want to repeat a message I said earlier. You know, I said earlier, you know, I'm here to make you educating, contributing members. We really want people here to be active, not just watching. We do these meetings all over Texas, and we always have a lot of new people that come to the meetings. And we call the new people tourists. Like, hey, honey, let's go check out the REIA. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. But we figured out a long time ago that nobody actually makes any money being a tourist. We need people to be active. Buying, selling, partnering, borrowing, lending. That's where we all make money. But I also figured out a long time ago that unfortunately, I can't turn somebody into a real estate investor in 45 minutes. If I could only figure out how to sprinkle pixie dust on everybody's head and turn them into real estate investors in 45 minutes, yeah, that would be awesome. I don't know how to do that. But I do, and I can and I do know how to turn people into real estate investors over a period of 24 hours. well, actually, to be more accurate, 24 hours spread out over 3 days, giving us the time to get through all the nitty-gritty details. And this is why the Texas REIAs and Flipping.com sponsors the Flipping Real Estate Investing Workshop. And like I said before, Texans teaching Texans how to invest in Texas using the strategies that work here. There are things that are legal in Texas you can't do everywhere else. And more importantly, there are a number of things that are legal in 49 states you can't do in Texas. And those are really important things to know. We teach all strategies, all 12 strategies, all 65 marketing methods, the exact magic sales scripts, how to partner, how to access funding. Thousands of the most successful investors in Texas got started at this workshop, The Real Deal, Texans teaching Texans how to invest in Texas. So we're live and in person. I recommend you come live and in person. We also simulcast online. If you can't for some reason, make it live. And some of the things we're going to cover on top of all that, how about how to buy the best rental properties? You know, nobody knows this but us. We have data that nobody else in the world has. We have heat maps that we've generated that don't exist anywhere else. If you only do one thing and buy rental properties, you need to know exactly where to buy them. And it's not everywhere, and there's some places that are much better than others, and you see these on our heat maps. How to get off-market deals from outsourcing. I do all outsourcing to do my marketing. How about how to get paid offering free house remodels? This is my favorite method. I will renovate anybody's house for free. I make a fortune, and it's an absolutely irresistible offer. How about how to get a 3% mortgage in today's market? Everybody's like, oh, I missed my chance, right, to get a 3% mortgage on my rental properties. Well, there's a new loan product available. It's 3% interest, but it's way better than the old loan, because not only can you get now a mortgage at 3%, it's no money down, no paperwork, no credit check, okay? No application, 100% approval rate for anybody that applies. Who's feeling a little skeptical right now? I got a 3% mortgage, anybody can get it with no money down, no credit check, no mortgage. You know, that sounds unbelievable, too good to be true. I'm not gonna make you wait till the workshop. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna show you that one in just a couple minutes, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, the new mortgages are better than the old ones. The new 3% are better than the old 3%. Here's what I do. I use artificial intelligence to talk to my leads. You know, while I'm sitting here talking to you guys, I've got an AI that's talking to 10,000 other people, right, doing my business for me. They also work while I'm sleeping. How to use virtual assistants. You know, I have 14 virtual assistants in the Philippines that work for me. They charge about 10 cents on the dollar of what Americans charge. And they have college degrees, and they're really great workers, you know, and because of the exchange rate, they're getting paid a fortune, you know, and you can do that too. So these are just some of the things we're going to be covering at the workshop. 3-city tour, Austin, Dallas, Houston, pick the city, pick the date that makes sense for you. And it's the same exact workshop in the 3 cities, just happens to do a 3-city tour. Now, if the date is a problem, if you have a conflict, for example, if your daughter is getting married, here's what I suggest. Cancel the wedding, because the most important thing that's going to change your life in a good way is going to be coming to the workshop. Okay, now, one other thing. Here's something I'm going to ask of you. Please become a member of the Texas REIAs. Coming to the workshop is free, and it's paid for by our sponsors. So thank you very much, sponsors. We have thousands of the best contractors, money lenders, everything you could ever imagine. They pay for all of this. And if you'd like to join the REIA, you really should, because if you have the slightest interest in having real estate being any part of your future, the first thing to do is to join your local real estate investor association. Well, membership has wonderful privileges. Because if you're a member of the REIA, when you come to the workshop, you come as a VIP, which means you get preferred seating. We have lunches brought in for the VIPs with lunch sessions. You get access to the online group. So we meet every minute of every day online. Who would like to have 20,000 buyers that you could do business with instantly? Raise your hand if you want 20,000 buyers. You need to join the REIA. Who would like to have access to 1,000 private money lenders? Anybody want 1,000 private money lenders? Okay, you should join the REIA. Who would like to get off-market wholesale deals? Anybody want off-market wholesale deals? okay, you should join the REIA. Anybody looking for a power team, right? All the lawyers and contractors and people to help you with your deals. Anybody need a power team? Okay, you should join the REIA. And we meet every minute of every day online. And as a member of the REIA, you get to interact with that group. You get a Texas Money Resource Guide. You get a wonderful training program. We also have free online events just about every week. So join the REIA. It is a cost of $250,000. Actually, drum roll, please. I screwed that up twice. Today, only if you join the REIA, it is $100. So join the REIA, it's $100. It's a one-year membership. You will not be automatically renewed in a year, although in a year, if you want to, you can renew again for $100. And the Texas REIA is one other thing about us. This is the only organization in Texas that actively lobbies for you. The legislature here is always looking at real estate, regulating it. Just a couple of years ago, we came this close to having wraparound mortgages, a very important strategy, became illegal, almost became illegal in the state of Texas. If it was not for this organization, you would have lost your right to use that strategy. We keep you being able to do wholesaling and other strategies. It costs a lot of money to lobby on your behalf to protect your rights and to represent real estate investors here in Texas. And by becoming a member of the REIA, you're contributing to that cause. So it costs $100 to join the REIA. If you have $100, please join the REIA. You also will be invited to the commercial workshop as well if you're a member of the REIA. Oh, and we also have a really cool poster. I'll show you this a little bit later. This is what happens when engineers become real estate investors. I invent things. This is the 273 things you need to know to be a real estate investor. All the different marketing strategies, all the different investing strategies, all the different sales and negotiating techniques, the operations, power teams, corporate structures, finance, analysis, due diligence. We have a big poster, and if you join the REIA, you even get one of these posters. You hang it on your wall, then you come to the workshop. We'll teach you how all this stuff works. So, and I'll show you that a little bit later. But do you have some forms? Can we hand out the forms? So to sign up, you can come to the workshop for free. Please join the REIA. The REIA tonight is $100. So on the workshop, here's what you do. Fill out the form. On the form, it has 3 different options: Austin, Dallas, Houston. Pick the one that you want. You don't have to go to the one in the city you're in. You can go to one of the other cities. It's fine. Or you can go to the city you want. Now, there's a date stamped in the little box. This is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. The date that is stamped there is day 1, Friday. But it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'll give you some more logistics in a little minute. Let us know if you're coming online or if you're coming live. Now, even if you come live and you need to go early, you can jump online and go back and forth. So let us know if you're coming live or online. If you do it today, notice it's free, so that's a great price, incredible deal. A competing workshop would typically cost $1,000. But also, please join the REIA, and if you join the REIA today, it's $100. So check that box to join the REIA. Please fill out the form legibly, because if we can't read your email address or your phone number, somebody else is going to get sent your tickets. And then tell us a little bit more about yourself down here so we can connect you up with vendors and resources that may be very helpful as you're building your real estate investing business. So we're going to hand out the forms. We will collect the forms back a little bit later. Go ahead.
If you are live, the only way for you to sign up, you have to fill out the form. The online will not work. Those, whatever the people said, is just the people that is online.
Yeah, this is only right now. If you don't do it now, you have to pay for it. So if you want to sign up, just fill out the form. And it's free, so no cost if you do it here. So that is it. I'll put the dates up again. Now, I'm going to explain some of the logistics a little bit later, but these are the dates and locations. So it also has the hotel that it's at for each of the cities. I'll go through some more of the logistics at the very, very end, and we'll collect the forms back at the very, very end, so you don't have to hand the form back right away. But when we do collect the forms back, you know, you can see there's 2 pages, so we're going to pull them apart. You'll get the receipt, and then we'll give you a little packet that has your tickets and a little welcome letter and some information on how to attend, how to join the REIA, some of the other goodies you get, especially if you're a VIP. So let's get back to the training. And we talked about marketing, so I'm going to give that a little check. And now we're going to get into the strategies. So let's talk about the strategies. And people always ask me the question, what's the best strategy? I mean, there's so many different ways to do this. So what's the best way to do this? Well, I'm going to answer that question right now. There's a lot of strategies. You can do short sales, buy and hold. You can do mortgage assignments. You can do auction options. You can do referrals, wholesaling. You can do contracts for deeds. You can do lease options, house swapping. You do wraparound mortgages. You can do equity partnering. And of course, you can do fix and flip. And you can certainly spend a lot of time and money on all that training and education. In fact, my wife and I spent over actually $100,000 on training, coaching, seminars. Most of it was great. Some of it was not great. It all sounded great. But I don't feel bad about spending over $100,000 on our education because we've actually made many millions of dollars from our education. But I do have a little pet peeve at how most people get started and how most people teach people to get started. Because when you look at all of these investing strategies, here's the good news. They all work. All of these things can make you money investing in real estate. Right? That's the good news. The bad news is that they each only work in unique situations. You see, each of these strategies is actually the solution to a specific situation or problem. But remember what I said earlier, your job one is finding the deal, marketing. So here's a brand new investor hunting for a deal. And he does some marketing and it generates a lead. What is a lead? Just a name and number of somebody that might want to sell real estate. It's an address of a house. Well, he looks at that lead, and if this guy had gotten the right training, he would have learned how to help the seller solve their particular problem using a strategy called a wraparound mortgage. But that's not the training he got. He just went to one of those wholesale seminars. All he learned how to do is wholesaling. So he's looking for a wholesale deal, and he didn't find one. He found a wrap deal, and he doesn't know how to do that. So he can't help the seller and can't make money on that lead. So what's he going to do? He's going to do some more marketing and generate another lead. Well, now if he only knew how to do a mortgage assignment, he could solve that problem, get himself a check. But he doesn't know how to do that because remember, all he knows how to do is wholesaling. He's still looking for a wholesale deal. So he does some more marketing and generates yet another lead. And now if he only knew how to do an auction option, he could solve a big problem and get himself a big check. But again, he doesn't know how to do an auction option because all he knows how to do is wholesaling. And he's still looking for a wholesale deal. Are you starting to see a problem? This is big rookie mistake number 2. There's thousands of books and YouTube videos that teach people how to get started investing in real estate. What most of that education says is the following. You need to get started by learning one strategy, and this is the best one. No, this is the best one. No, this is the best one. Well, whatever. You need to learn a strategy, pick a strategy, make money on that strategy. And then after you learn how to make money on that strategy, later on you can learn how some other strategies work. And it sounds pretty good and it feels pretty good, but forgive my language when I say this, that is a completely ass-backwards way to go about this. Saying that you need to get started by learning one strategy, and you need to make money on one strategy before you learn the other strategy, that's kind of like saying you need to go to Las Vegas and learn how to bet on one number on the roulette wheel. And only after making enough money betting over and over and over again on that one number on the roulette wheel, later on you can learn how some of the other numbers work. Well, that's ridiculous. And yet that's how 95% of real estate investors get started investing in real estate. And it's no surprise that 95% of real estate investors give up before they ever get going. And probably about 99% of wholesalers. So let's talk about wholesaling. There's nothing wrong with wholesaling. Wholesaling is one of the 12 strategies that I use, I teach, and I do. In fact, it's the easiest one to teach. The problem with wholesaling, however, is that I would argue that of all the 12 strategies that I teach and that I do, I would argue wholesaling is the hardest one to do that on average makes the least amount of money. Easiest one to learn, hardest one to make the least amount of money. So when somebody says to me, I want to get started by wholesaling, here's how my brain translates that. I want to do the hardest thing there is to do that on average makes the least amount of money. And I know from my experience that about 99 out of 100, maybe not 100 out of 100, but about 99 out of 100 people that try to execute that plan end up giving up before they ever get going. Because if you do something that's a lot of work and it doesn't make you a lot of money, you're going to give up before you ever get going. For example, how many of you have read the book, The Millionaire Wholesaler? Yeah, that's because it's never actually been written. And it never will be, because it's the hardest one to do that makes the least amount of money. So I'm going to show you what the top 5% of investors do. And my advice is to play to be in the top 5%, or don't bother, because they make all the money. So here's how I do it, and here's how I'm going to teach you how to do it. I bet on all of the numbers on the wheel, and then I spin the wheel a lot. And what do I mean by I bet on all of the numbers on the wheel? I use all 12 strategies. Why not learn all 12 ways to fill out a contract? Why not learn all 12 ways to solve a problem? You spend time and money to get somebody with a problem to call you. That's called a lead. If there's a way to help them and solve the problem and get paid, you need to help them and solve their problem and get paid. And once you know all 12 strategies, you know what? We have a strategy for every problem that exists. There is no exception. Motivated sellers, non-motivated sellers, free and clear, underwater. We can help them all. We can help them solve the problem and get paid. And then after you learn how to do that, then what do you want to do? You want to spin the wheel a lot, and that means just look at a lot of deals and then take a lot of shots on goal. That's it. It's a numbers game. It's as simple as that. So let's learn some strategies. Actually, first I'm going to tell you another story. This was my first big deal. I'll tell you a story. After I was a real estate investor for just over 2 years, I flipped this house. Actually made $291,000 flipping this house. Pretty good deal. But the more interesting part of the story is I was actually the 8th investor at bat. 7 other real estate investors looked at this deal before me and passed on the deal. How is that possible? How could 7 different real estate investors pass on a deal, an opportunity to make almost $300,000 on a house? How's that even possible? I'm going to tell you. It's not just possible, it's actually typical. I'll tell you the rest of the story. First investor walks into this house and says, I'd love to buy your house, but you're underwater. You owe more money than the house is worth. You can't afford to sell me the house. Second investor walks into this house and says, I'd love to buy your house, but you're in bankruptcy. I can't buy a house from somebody in bankruptcy. Third investor walks into this house and says, well, I can help you avoid a foreclosure by doing something called a short sale, but I can't do that while you're in bankruptcy. Plus, you have a mid-construction project. I don't do mid-construction projects. I walked into this house and I said, my, oh my, oh my, you have a lot of big problems, don't you? Big problem means what? Big opportunity. You know, it took 1, 2, 3 different strategies to solve this guy's problem. I solved the problem, I got the check. My competition was a bunch of one-trick ponies. Most of my competitors are a bunch of one-trick ponies. There's 20,000 YouTube videos that teach people how to be one-trick ponies. One-trick ponies are annoying. They get in the way at times, but they don't last long. Guys, if you think you're going to find pretty houses at big discounts just waiting for you, hanging off of trees, you're smoking crack, okay? This is what opportunity looks like. A big bundle of problems with a nice pretty bow around it. I want a house where half the house burned down. I want a house that had a meth lab that exploded in the garage. I want a house that flooded. I want a house with mold. I want a house where someone was murdered in the living room. Oh, yeah. You can make a killing on a murder house. I own one. How do you make a killing on a murder house? Seriously. Now, murder's not common, but stigma is. So this is a stigma house. Let me give you guys a tip. What do you think it cost to buy a murder house? Anybody want to guess? Would you like a murder house? No. Not really. What do you think it cost to buy a murder house? Not much. 20 cents on the dollar. And do you know what everybody says when they see that house? They point at that house and they say, that's a murder house. And a year later, they're going by that house. They stop, they point at that house, and man, something bad happened in that house. A few years later, they're going by that house. They're kind of looking around. They're like, somewhere around here, something happened. About 5 years later, they go by that house, and what do they say? How much for that house? Stigmas go away. Bought a house for $180, it's now worth $480. What did I do? I didn't do anything. I just rented it out to a guy that didn't mind living in a murder house. I gave him a deal. right? And then I just waited, did nothing, right? And there's all kinds of stigmas. Stigmas go away, right? That's the difference between, opportunity. Problems are opportunities. Somebody gets shot in a bar, it's a crime scene. A few years later, it's a tourist attraction, right? And there's all kinds of stigmas, and there's all kinds of problems, and you need to look for the problems, right? If you're thinking, I don't want a problem, you're thinking, I don't want to be an entrepreneur. That's what we do. We solve problems. So I'll tell you another story. One of my students recently bought a $150,000 Tesla, paid cash for it, and he calls it his air car, H-E-I-R, air car. Yes, somebody died without a will. Do you know that 2 out of 3 people don't have a will? Light bulb. But they did have 42 heirs. And everybody said, no way, man, there's no way you're going to get 42 people to agree on something, big problem. Okay, he rolled up his sleeves, and it took a little effort, but eventually got 42 people to agree that a little bit of something is a whole lot better than a whole lot of nothing. And now he's driving around in a $150,000 air car. Problems or opportunities? Don't forget that. Big problems are what? Big opportunities. So we do marketing to find the problems. You guys mind if I take my jacket off? I'm getting a little warm up here, so I'm going to take off my jacket. And then we use strategies to solve the problems. So let me teach you a couple strategies. Got time for a couple strategies. The first strategy I'm going to teach you tonight is wholesaling. Easiest one to teach. Let me just knock it off right now. How does this work? Well, the way this works is you find a property and get it under contract. Now, how much does it cost to get a property under contract? How much? 0. Can we all afford that? I think so. Right? And then after you get a property under contract, instead of buying the property, we're going to sell our equitable interest, the contract itself, to another investor for a fee. All right? How much is the fee? It depends. $500 to $5,000 on a small deal, $10,000 to $25,000 on an average deal, $25,000 more on a big deal. And this, my friends, is a no money and no risk strategy. I've discovered it's really hard to lose money when you're not spending or investing any money. So let me give you an example. When you come to the workshop, I teach theory. I just taught you the theory. But then I always tell the story. Because the theory is nice, but when you see examples, that's when it really kind of clicks and starts to make sense. So I'll tell you right now, when you come to the workshop, I'm probably going to tell you about 100 different stories. So let me show you an example of a story. This is Kimberly. She came to the workshop, and then she rolled up her sleeves and she got to work. And this was her first deal. She told me about this deal after she did this deal. And the story goes that her mom was visiting her from out of town. So she's in the car with her mom. And her mom's like, Kim, where are we going? Oh, well, Mom, we're going to get a house under contract. What? Kim, are you crazy? What are you talking about? You just graduated from college. You don't have any money. You don't have any credit. You don't even have a job yet. What do you mean you're getting a house under contract? Don't worry, Mom. I know what I'm doing. So Kim's mom watched Kim walk into that house and offer the seller $265,000 cash for the house. And he signed a contract. Now, obviously, he was a motivated seller. Obviously, they'd talked on the phone ahead of time. Kim then took that contract and she posted it out to the network. You know, we meet every minute of every day online. Do you know over the last decade, the members of this community post their deals, questions, offers, money, resources, referrals back and forth thousands and thousands of times, right, on that network? So Kim posted the deal out to the network. Who wants to buy this house for $265,000? And it turns out several other members of the REIA wanted to buy that deal, that contract from Kim. And one of them negotiated and bought Kim's contract for $17,000. So Kim just sold her contract to another member of the REIA for $17,000. So now Kim is a believer. Well, actually, Kim was a believer. Now Kim's mom is a believer. Now, what would Kim have done with the contract? What if nobody wanted to buy the contract? What would she have done with the contract? Yeah, terminate. No harm, no foul, no risk, no penalty. But she didn't need to, did she? Okay, well, who bought the contract? Another member of the REIA by the name of Tatiana. Let me tell you about Tatiana. I know Tatiana very well. Tatiana paid Kim $17,000 for the contract. It then became Tatiana's contract. Crossed Kim's name out, where it said buyer, wrote her name, or really her company's name in. Tatiana then bought the house for $265,000 cash. She had the cash. She kept it for 6 months as a month-to-month rental. After the tenants moved out, she did a renovation and a small addition, and then she sold it after owning it for 12 months. And then when she sold it, she made a little over $100,000 of net profit. That she only had to pay long-term capital gains taxes, no income taxes. Do you think Tatiana was pretty happy that Kim found that deal for her? What do you think? Yeah, you bet. So let's do a little poll of the audience. By a show of hands, how many of you are cash buyers? Raise your hand if you're a cash buyer. Okay, let me ask you a different question. How much cash do you have to make a cash offer? 0. Well then, how much cash do you technically have to be a cash buyer? 0. You don't have to have any cash to make a cash offer. You don't have to have any cash to be a cash buyer. You just need to know people with cash. So let me ask you guys another question. Does anybody here know somebody that you could call, right, if you get a smoking hot deal to buy a property for a big discount for cash? Like, who could you call, for example? Who? You got an investor. Well, what about me? What do you think I'm doing up here, over here, guys? You know, and in fairness, there are hundreds and hundreds of guys just like me, right, out on that network that would be pleased as punch, right, if you guys got out there and got some properties under contract. You don't want them yourself, pitch them back to the group. That's why we need you. That's why we want you. That's why we'll even train you, right, on how to be educated and contributing members of this community. Are you starting to see how this works? When you sell your house, selling your house is like winning the lottery, right? You can get the whole amount, but it takes a long time, or you can get the lump sum, right now. Yes, it's a discount, but a lot of people want cash now. If you simply offer people cash now, people want cash now, will take that offer. Most people, when they win the lottery, they take the lump sum, right? And that's what motivated distressed sellers do. They take the lump sum. You just offer them the lump sum. We have lists of motivated sellers. You offer them the lump sum. You don't want to buy it yourself, sell it to me or somebody else. That's how this business works, and that's how wholesaling works. So I can tell I have my work cut out for me. So let me try this again. By a show of hands, how many of you are cash buyers? Raise your hand if you're a cash buyer. Are you a cash buyer? Yes. Sir, are you a cash buyer? Ma'am, are you a cash buyer? Are you a cash buyer? Yeah, well, you're with a cash buyer, so you're good. Are you a cash buyer, cash buyer, cash? Oh, great. I love talking to a room full of cash buyers. You know, and the network instantly, by the way, instantly puts people with cash in connection with people with deals. Instantly puts people with deals in connection with people with cash, right? People go to these stupid wholesale seminars. It's like, the first thing you need to do is build a buyer's list. I already built you a buyer's list. The best buyer's list in Texas. You're enjoying the REIA. The buyer's list, check. That's easy. Finding buyers is stupid easy, right? The hard thing is finding sellers, finding the deal. That's where you need to spend your time, 85% of your time and money, right, on the sellers. Okay, let's do another strategy. I got time for one more. This is a little more complicated and a little more interesting. Buying properties subject to the mortgage. This is buying properties, owning properties, buying real estate, even with no money and with no credit. I am a nationally recognized expert in this strategy. It is possible I have taught more people to actually successfully do this than anybody. I don't know. I'm certainly a national expert, maybe the national expert, certainly a national expert. What does this mean? How does this actually work? How does real estate work? When you buy real estate, how does that work? You go to a title company and you sign a stack of documents. Most of the documents are disclaimers and disclosures, but there's 2 documents that get signed at a closing that actually make the closing happen. The 2 documents that make the closing happen are the deed and the note. 2 separate documents, a deed and a note, deed and a note, 2 separate documents. Now, most of the time when somebody buys a house, the same guy is on both of the documents. Same guy's on the deed, same guy's on the note. Whosever name goes on the deed, that's who owns the house. Whosever name goes on the note, that's who's responsible for the mortgage. Two separate documents. And usually it's the same guy. The guy buys a house, his name is on the deed, his name is on the note, he owns a house, and he's responsible for the mortgage. That's normal. He moves into the house, it's his house, and all the rights and privileges and responsibilities and benefits of home ownership, they all go to him. It's his house. At the end of the month, he gets a statement from the bank, says you owe us $1,000, $2,000 for your mortgage. He writes the bank a check for $2,000 for the mortgage. Bank gets a check, cashes the check. Bank's happy, he's happy, everybody's happy. That's how it works. And then the guy goes on to get married. And well, you know, Texas is a community property state. So when the guy gets married, okay, the wife is added to the deed. Now there's two names on the deed. Look at the tax records, you see two different names, him and her. But his name is still the only name on the note. Just because somebody's added to the deed, that does not affect the note. And then time goes on and things don't work out and they get a divorce. And in their situation, the wife gets the house in the divorce. So now something kind of interesting has happened. Now her name is the only name left on the deed, but his name is still the only name on the note. So the question is, as long as he keeps sending a check to the bank every month, or she starts sending a check to the bank every month, or a tenant or a property manager, a neighbor, investor, friend, or family member, or somebody sends the bank a check every month, the question is, does the bank actually care who wrote the check? What do you think? No. There's some dude sitting at the bank getting paid $9.82 an hour to open an envelope. He's like, oh, we got a check. It's for the right amount. It came on time and it cleared. We're good. So if you're listening to my story so far, I just told you all a story about a spouse, about a woman, about a person that was able to acquire and own real estate even with no money and with no credit. So there it is, a way to buy real estate with no money and no credit. Okay, so here's the really, really good part. You can all do exactly the same thing, and you don't have to get married to do it. Because here's the deal, and this is the big one. Anybody, all of you, anybody can go up to any homeowner that has any loan, any mortgage, from any lender on any house at any time, and you can make them an offer. And the offer any of you can make with any homeowner that has any loan, any mortgage from any lender on any house at any time is this. Here's the offer. I will make the payments on your mortgage for you going forward. Or I will find somebody to make the payments on your mortgage for you going forward. What's the catch? The catch is you have to hand transfer the deed, which is ownership of the property, to me. It's called buying a property subject to the existing mortgage. Do this with any homeowner that has any loan from any lender on any home at any time. And the only person on this planet that has to agree to this transaction is the person whose name is on the deed, not the bank. The bank has no say in this transaction. There are federal laws that regulate this transaction. Anybody can transfer their deed to anybody. Anybody can pay somebody else's mortgage if they want to. So if you're listening to me closely, here's what you just heard me say. You can buy any house in Texas from any homeowner in Texas that has any loan from any lender. You can buy that person's house at any time, and you can even buy that person's house even with no money and with no credit by simply offering to take over the payment on their mortgage, or even offering to find somebody to take over the payment on the mortgage in exchange for them simply transferring the deed, which is ownership of the property, to you. And once you learn how to buy real estate with no money and with no credit, then how many houses can you buy? All of them. It is a very scalable process. Look, when somebody's in financial distress, they have a house, they have a mortgage. Is the house the problem, or is the mortgage the problem? What do you think? Yeah, owning a house is never a problem. Being responsible for mortgage, that can be a big problem. If you solve the big problem by taking over the payments or finding somebody to take over the payments in exchange for solving the big problem, you ask them to transfer the deed, which is ownership of the property to you. So it's simply agreeing to pay a seller's mortgage in exchange for the deed. Now, once somebody transfers their deed to you, you own it. You can do whatever you want with it. You can renovate it and retail sell it to somebody else. You can wrap it, assign it, keep it as a rental property. You can keep it as your own homestead if you like. I've helped many of my friends buy their very own homestead with this little or no money, no credit needed strategy. How much money can you make? Well, there's a lot of ways to make a lot of money when you're buying real estate with no money and no credit. Small flip, at least 10 or 15,000, typically a lot more. And this is another little or no money, little or no risk strategy. Let me show you an example of a deal. This is one of the $30 million worth of houses that I own here in Texas, rental properties. Now, if I wanted to buy $30 million worth of rental properties traditionally, I'd have to put down 20% every time I bought a property. In other words, I'd have to be a multi-millionaire just to become a millionaire. Well, I wasn't a millionaire when I started investing in real estate. So how was I able to accumulate $30 million worth of houses? Well, most of them were bought using exactly this strategy, including this one. So let me tell you about this one. A woman owned a house worth $150,000. She owed $110,000 on her loan. So this house has $40,000 in equity. She had the house rented out for $1,600 a month rent. The mortgage payment, including tax and insurance, is $1,100 a month. So this house is generating $500 a month of gross cash flow. Should have, could have, would have been a perfect rental property except for one major problem. This woman had lost her job. She was continuing to collect the rent because she was living off of the rent, but she stopped paying the mortgage. 4 days before the first Tuesday of the month, when the bank was going to foreclose on her, I knocked on her door. Hello, can I help you? I am here to help you. Well, what can you do? There's no time. They're going to foreclose on me. How can you help? They're going to foreclose on me. There's no time. What can you do? How can you help? Here's what I can do. I can stop the foreclosure. I can reinstate your loan. I can catch up your mortgage payments. I can make your mortgage payments for you going forward. I can even repair all of your credit. Well, that's amazing. What's the catch? You simply have to hand the deed, which is ownership of the property, to me. And she said, deal. Why in the world did she say deal? Because in 4 days, she's losing the house. That was a done deal. But she wasn't just going to lose the house. In addition to losing the house, she was going to get a little bonus to go along with it. Anybody know what you call that bonus? A foreclosure. And here's what I told her. You may think a foreclosure is the end of your problem. It's not. It's the beginning of a 10-year nightmare that starts with the sheriff and his deputies dragging you and your family and all of your possessions to the curb in front of your friends and neighbors. It's 10 years of dealing with the IRS, potentially garnishing your wages to collect on a 1099 that could be issued against you for up to the full value of your loan. It's 10 years of dealing with the lender, potentially filing a lawsuit against you for up to the full value of the home. It's 10 years of dealing with creditors, calling you, hounding you day and night to collect on the judgment from the lawsuit. It's 10 years of not being able to buy another home, not being able to buy a car, not being able to get a credit card, not being able to open certain bank accounts or even rent certain apartments or even get certain jobs. In other words, it's a bullet to the head, and nobody wants all that. And I stopped all of that from happening to her. And she was thrilled. She even said, thank you. And the bank was thrilled because they didn't want to foreclose on the house. They didn't want the house back. They just wanted their money. So I gave them their money. And the tenants were thrilled because they didn't want to get kicked out of the house. They just wanted to keep renting the house. So I let them keep renting it for me. But mostly I was thrilled because for $4,500, which is what it cost me to reinstate that loan, I now own this beautiful $150,000 house. It came with a loan, came with $40,000 of equity, all mine, came with tenants paying me $1,600 a month rent. After I pay the mortgage of $1,100, I put $500 back in my pocket. And if you think that's cool, my wife and I own $30 million worth of these properties. Some of them took small amounts of money like this. Most of them honestly took more money than that, but then some of them took absolutely no money at all. So how many of you would like me to walk you step by step by step through how to do this deal? Who would like me to walk you step by step by step through how to do this deal? All right, we're all out of time. All right, I'll finish. I do want to finish this. I love this deal. This is my second favorite strategy. But I'll bet you don't know why I love this so much. Some of you are like, oh, you know, you're making $500 a month. Yeah, that's not it. $500 is not going to affect my life or my lifestyle at all. what I love about this is by doing this over and over and over again, over the last 21 years, my wife and I were able to accumulate a portfolio that's now worth $30 million. In fact, just over the last 3 years, that portfolio went up in value by more than 30%. In other words, just over the last 3 years, my wife and I became more than $10 million richer from having done this thing over and over again. This thing that requires little or no money and no credit. That's what I love about this. This is the strategy that allows anybody, regardless of money or credit, to become multi-millionaires. Because I have news for you. You don't have enough money to do this. Elon Musk doesn't have enough money to do this. If you're putting 20% down, it's going to suck your capital dry. When you put 20% down on a rental property, when do you get that money back? 20 years. It's gone. Every dollar you put down, gone. You get it back in 20 years. It's gone. Okay? What if you could buy rental properties with no money down? Better? You don't have enough credit to buy $30 million. I don't care how much credit you have. You could have perfect credit. It doesn't really matter. You get a loan, you get a second loan, third loan. Oh, good luck. Then it starts getting harder and harder and harder. By the time you get 3, it gets harder, 5 harder, 10, you're done. Then you got to start getting commercial loans. It gets harder and harder and harder. Right? This requires no money, no credit. It scales to an infinite degree. Whether you have money or credit, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to get you to where this will get you. And once I realized the wealth potential, by the way, I promised you I was going to show you how to get a 3% mortgage on a rental property with no money down. You're looking at it. Find somebody that got a 3% mortgage a couple of years ago that now is in financial distress, just offer to take over their payments. You just got a 3% mortgage, no credit check, no doc, no money down. You starting to see how this works? And once I realized the wealth potential of this strategy, I actually made one additional tweak to this strategy. I no longer buy these houses in my name. In fact, I no longer buy these houses in my company's name. Now when I buy these houses, I prefer to buy them with my IRA. How many of you were aware that you could do this transaction with your IRA? Okay, well, for the rest of you, you know you can do this transaction with your IRA. In fact, one of the sponsors that's paying for this is Directed Trust IRA. Come to the workshop. They will set it up for you at the workshop so you can do this with your IRA. So what happens when my IRA does this deal? My IRA issues the $4,500 reinstatement fee to the lender. That comes out of the IRA. The deed, title, ownership of the property transfers to the IRA. Every month, the property manager deposits $1,600 into the IRA. Every month, the IRA automatically pays a mortgage of $1,100 and $500 rolls back into the IRA. But that's not the good part. So then what's the good part? Over the next 25 years, this property will double in value. And it'll double a second time. And even with very conservative appreciation rates, it'll almost double a third time. Something interesting happens to the loan on this property over the next 25 years. What happens to the loan? Yeah, it gets paid off by the tenants. Thank you very much, tenants. In other words, every time your IRA does this deal, your IRA will ultimately end up owning an asset worth about $1 million that by then you own free and clear. And because my IRA is also a Roth IRA, when I sell this asset at retirement, 100% of the proceeds are tax-free. Did y'all just see what I did? I just showed you how to turn a $4,500 IRA into $1 million tax-free, doing one deal, one time. Helping a woman out of a horrible situation. She even said thank you. Helping tenants stay in a property they want to stay in, helping a bank not take a property back they don't want back, all that just doing this once. The average retired person at the age of 65 has a net worth of $62,000. It's pathetic. If you just did this one deal, one time, you'd be 25 times richer than the average retired person just doing it once. But I'll tell you, I've never seen somebody do this deal once. 95% of the people will never do this deal. 100% of the people that do it once, then what do? And they do it again. And then what do? And then they do it again and again. And 20 years later, they're standing behind a podium at a Marriott or a Hilton, I don't remember which, talking about all the times they did it. So One last time, how many of you would like me to walk you step by step by step through how this deal? Who wants me to walk you step by step by step through how to do this deal? I mean, I can skip this. You want me to walk you step by step through it? All right, I'm going to walk you step by step. How to find the deal, how to get it under contract, which attorney and title company to close at, and how to go through all the operational steps. I'm going to walk you through all of those things step by step by step. But it's going to take about 3 days, so we're going to have to finish this conversation at the workshop. And obviously, that was just one of the 12 strategies. Not my favorite. My very favorite is a magical method of offering to renovate houses for free. And then there's 10 others beyond that. 65 marketing methods. I just taught you first close. That was called the atomic bomb close. That was literally what I said to that woman. She handed me the deed and said, thank you. Now think about that. You get a list of these sellers, you call them, you read that script, they hand you the deed, and they say thank you. Now, it doesn't work with everyone. It's a numbers game. You call a bunch of people, some hang up, some say no thank you. You keep going, some say yes, and some say thank you. You get a list, call, read a script, hand you keys, deed, thank you. You own a rental property, rinse and repeat, do it over and over again. That's what I did, right? And you can do exactly the same thing. That's how this business works. That's what I mean, like Jack has magic beans, I have magic closes. That's how my mind works. Like you can call somebody off a list and read a script and they give you their house and they say thank you, and then you just do that over and over again. It's a numbers game. And then you start using AI and have AI do it for you. I mean, it's like crazy, right? Why doesn't everybody do this? So the workshop's in Austin, Dallas, Houston. Join the REIA. Please join the REIA. It's $100, great deal. You become a VIP, get a lot of benefits beyond that. Pick the dates that work for you. Austin, Dallas, Houston. Come live or online. How many of you would like to come to the event live? Who would like to come live to the event? Raise your hand if you want to come live to the event. How many want to come online? Who wants to come online? Okay, who does not want to come at all? Do you want to come to the event? What's that? Online. How about you? You want to come in person? You should come in person. Why aren't you coming in person? Okay. No. When we do it in person, by the way, we will have tables, so we're not going to be crammed in like sardines like we are here. How about you? Are you coming? You're coming online. You didn't raise your hand. Why didn't you raise your hand? I don't know. You're shy. Okay. There's nobody's going to bite you. So yeah, come. Why don't you want to come live?
I'm not from here.
Where are you from?
From the Caribbean.
Okay. Are you going to be going online from the Caribbean? Well, that's cool. All right. Well, you have an excuse. So you get an excuse. You're going to be calling in from the Caribbean. Okay. So some logistics, and we're going to do a market update as well. Please join the REIA. It's $100 if you do it today. You become a VIP. You're going for a good cause, and most importantly, you become a member of this organization, which gives you access to buyers, lenders, power teams, etc. You get a really cool poster if you join the REIA today. Fill out the form. For you guys online, we'll post a link online. You can join us online. A couple of other housekeeping tips. People ask us, well, can I get copies of your presentations? Yes, we post them on our social media. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube. Go look for Texas REIAs Online. Some logistical details for the workshop. I teach the workshop myself. So you're going to see me there the whole time. I'm not some traveling circus roadshow. I live here in Texas. I've been doing this for 20 years. You're going to be spending 3 days with me. The event starts first thing in the morning. I'm going to start talking about 8:45 a.m. Get there early, get a good seat, be a VIP and get a really good seat. And then we're going to go late Friday, late Saturday, early Sunday. So it's 24 hours over 3 days, but it'll be weighted for Friday and Saturday. So late, I don't know how late, kind of depends on you, questions, how things are going. I'm guessing maybe around 7:30, and then Saturday late, and then Sunday early. Bring a notebook, bring a notepad, bring something you can write notes in. You are going to fill up an entire notebook over the 3 days. This is not some floofy workshop. This is details. I'm going to take you through exercises. I'm going to help you build your own marketing plan. Every one of you is different, right? So we're going to take you through different exercises and plans that are going to be unique to you. You're going to walk out of there with a tested plan on how to actually do this. Participate within the REIA. Everything you need is in this network. Money, partners, power teams, resources, attorneys, contractors, you name it. Literally, there's 150,000 people that have been doing this since 2003. A couple of questions: how much experience do I need? 75% of the people that come are newbies. 25% are experienced, but they tend to come to learn some of the advanced strategies and tap into some of the resources only we have. Can I bring my significant other? Highly recommend you drag them by force if necessary. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen if you don't bring your significant other. I'm going to teach you how to do really cool stuff. You're going to go out, you're going to find a house, you're going to go home, and you're going to say, honey, we're buying a house. And what do you think honey's going to say if honey was not at the workshop? No, what are you, crazy? You're going to lose all our money. No, it works, I promise. Bring them. I will make it fun. I can't tell you how many people came to this workshop. They had no interest in real estate, and then they became the ones that picked up the ball and ran with it, right? It is really literally life-changing experience. Yes, if you join the REIA, your guest comes as a VIP as well, so you don't have to join twice to bring your guest as a VIP. How do I know this is the real deal? Don't ask me. I recommend you ask somebody else that's actually done it before, because every time I teach somebody, I literally invite them to give us feedback with a handwritten feedback form. Do not trust stuff you read on the internet. We scan handwritten forms, we post them. Handwritten, you can't fake that with signatures and names and 1,000 different signatures, 1,000 different handwritings. And I post every single feedback form on the internet no matter what anybody says. Thousands of them. Why would I post every feedback form on the internet no matter what anybody says? Go look for yourself. And you will see thousands and thousands of reviews, and 99 out of 100 are all the same. Oh my God, this was literally an unexpected, life-changing experience. And if you don't believe me, go check that link out. Where do I get my tickets? Fill out your form. We're going to give you tickets on the way out of here, so stop at the desk and they will give you your tickets as you turn in your form. Please join the REIA. You're going to get a little envelope with your, and by the way, we're also going to call you right before the event and RSVP, because we got to get counts for how many people are going to come live and how many people are online, so we're going to RSVP. If for some reason you have to change the date or something, you can do that when they RSVP you right before the event. If you want even more help, please join the REIA. That's where you can interact with me and all the other members of this organization.